Hello and welcome to Apple Unboxed. I'm Parikshit Luthra. 4.5 years after it opened a store in a new country, Apple opened its first retail store in India, underlining the tech giant's increased focus towards the nation. This week also marks 25 years of the tech giant's presence in India. Apple CEO Tim Cook threw open the gates of the 28,000 square feet retail store in Mumbai's Bandra Kurla complex to a throng of expectant Apple fans. A second retail store will be inaugurated in Delhi later this week. The company has pitched the BKC store as the world's most energy-efficient Apple store. With a dedicated solar array and zero reliance on fossil fuels for store operations. So why is Apple looking at India? It plans to curb its heavy dependence on China. With geopolitical tensions adding to the woes, a need was felt by the company to make supply chains more resilient. My colleagues Manglam Malu and Shibani Gharat get us the key highlights from the mega Apple launch.
Well, it's a cultural moment for India, an Apple store opening out here. Every country remembers the first McDonald's store, the first Starbucks outlet, or the first Domino's Pizza outlet. An Apple store is another important global institution, the opening of which generates a lot of excitement. And excitement it was. We had thousands of people queuing up, some as early as last evening, who camped all night to be among the first few people to enter the Mumbai Apple BKC store. And they were welcomed by none other than Tim Cook himself. Tim Cook, in the previous conference call of Apple, has said that India is slowly becoming an important market for them. While in their overall scheme of things, India accounts for a little under 2% of revenues. But remember, reports suggest that last year the revenues from India for Apple grew by 50%. So, the growth runway that India offers is massive. And this in addition to the fact that a lot of the phones are now being produced and manufactured in India itself.
Store in itself is much different. So typically, globally, when you see or visit Apple stores, you get that standard white color. There is, of course, a hint of color. There is Hello Mumbai on the glass facade outside. Very, very Indian touch to the whole store. It's spacious. It's approximately 22,000 square feet store, and then you will get to experience a lot of things, lot of products placed on the table. Some of the colors which are not available at the Apple authorized resellers are available right here, including different kinds of straps for the Apple Watch, some different colors for your iPhone. The latest yellow color on the iPhone also is on display over here. Customers are walking in. Many of them have queued up early in the morning. One of the first customers to make a purchase purchased an Apple AirPod at the store as soon as he walked in.
And from curbing its dependence on China to taking advantage of the PLI scheme, multiple reasons are at play behind Apple's growing interest in the India market. Ashwin Kumar now joins us to explain why India is so important for Apple and Tim Cook.
Well, Cupertino, California to Mumbai can be a long flight, but by the look of things, Tim Cook is excited and charged ahead of India's retail store launch. This launch marks Apple's 25 years in India, but it is only in the last few years that we saw Apple really dialing in. Now, in the month of February, Apple chief referred to India as a hugely exciting market and a focus area for the company. So let's take a look at what has inspired this focus on India by Tim Cook. Now, Apple began production in India in 2017, usually with old iPhone models. But all of that has changed. Apple's Taiwanese contract manufacturers, Wistron, Foxconn and Pegatron have dug in their heels for the long haul and are going full throttle. So why is Apple looking at India now? Well, Apple woke up to the heavy dependence on China with the COVID lockdowns that severely impacted production as well as exports. Moreover, with geopolitical tensions adding to the wars, a need was felt by the Cupertino-based company to make the supply chains more resilient. India, moreover, proved to be a strong performer with stable production despite COVID. And finally, the cherry on the cake was the PLI scheme. India, now the most populous country in the world, proved to be a large market. 2022 alone saw sales of 7 million units. But the larger story is that of India as a manufacturing and exports hub. India posted unprecedented growth, recording electronics exports of $10 billion in FY23. Of this export figure, Apple's exports alone accounted for nearly half of it. Apple exported over $5 billion worth of goods, tripling its exports from FY22. Apple has become the first company ever to record exports of $5 billion from India. In comparison, Samsung posted exports of $3.5 to $4 billion for the same fiscal. Now, inspired by these recent successes, Apple now plans to triple production in the next 2 years. In fact, a recent report by JP Morgan indicated that Apple wants to shift manufacturing of 25% of all Apple products to India by 2025. Now, this intent is reflected in contract manufacturers like Foxconn doubling down on their investments. Foxconn is planning to pump in $500 million. It is also planning to quadruple its workforce in just the next 2 years. So, for 2023, expect Apple and its contract manufacturers to 1. Expand facilities, scale up production, increase the workforce, and also develop design and innovation hubs here in the country. But Apple's journey may still see some challenges. For one, India is still heavily reliant on China for importing key components to assemble phones. Moreover, of the 120 suppliers to Apple, only 12 are currently manufacturing in the country. India will also have to face challenges from countries like Vietnam that offer lower duties to attract investments. Meanwhile, the value addition in India is currently restricted to about 14 to 20%. And finally, the delays in payout of PLI incentives to companies may cause some discomfort. Apple, for now, is betting big on India in the China Plus One strategy. But India will need to remain on its toes to continue to grow as a manufacturing and exports hub.
All right. Thanks, Ashmit Kumar, for summing up Apple's story here in India so far. And that story is just about to get bigger. On that note, we're going to take a short break, but don't go anywhere. We get you